praising our boys who are showing up and our young ladies who are showing up and doing great things all around the country. Hey, I grew up and spent the majority of my time in Phoebus. So I lived in the Phoebus area until I was about 12, about 13 or 14. And then we moved up off of Shell Road. So I went to, Jen H. Bryan. I went to Spratley Middle School. And we lived on Kelly Avenue in Phoebus. And Kelly's known for some athletes as well. We used to play football against other neighborhoods. We called ourselves the Kelly Cowboys. We take the chalk from homes and draw on the street, Kelly Cowboys, and then we play touch or tackle in the street. We play kill the man in my man Garrett Edwards' front yard on the corner of Mallory and Kelly. It was all love. It was we racing against each other, and you had to take your shoes off if you want to be faster. Like we were doing all of that stuff, and it was every day from sun up to sundown. Drinking water out the hose on the side of the house, like that was us all day, every day. And it was that spirit that we developed during that time that helped, I think, inspire my football opportunity. Is I was never the fastest, I was never the biggest, I was never the strongest, but I did try to compete a little bit. And so when we moved off of Shell Road on the Downing Street, I ended up going to Kickingham High School. Well, first Sims, and then to Kickingham. And I was an unknown cat coming to Kickingham. For some reason, I had a shirt. We had a little club on Kelly Avenue, and I had a shirt, black muscle shirt with red letters that said "Psycho" on it. I got that nickname. The movie was popular and all of that, and I don't remember exactly how I got the nickname, but I go to Sims, I get in a fight, I get jumped, and all of a sudden the nickname just caught on. Then I started playing football.
How you get jumped? Wrong. Hey, how do you of all people get jumped? What the nice guy on earth get jumped? You a good guy. It's a rough world around there, coach.
I was it's rough out there. It's rough out there. No, I can't tell the whole story. But I ended up getting jumped after high school or middle school dance, and or not after the dance. Actually, I got in a fight after the dance. Next Monday in school is when I got jumped by the crew. Fought, didn't really get a scratch on me, and so the nickname from wearing it on the shirt kind of stuck with me, and then started playing football, and I only knew one way to play, which was full speed, practice drills. I'm trying to crush people because that was all I knew, and that nickname stuck. So I tell you all of that to say, I still don't think I was all that great of a football player. I was just blessed with some opportunities and did my best to take advantage of them.
My man, good. Keith, take us over there to the south side, man.
Yeah, the beach. How do you do it over there in the beach?
And for me, my journey is a little different. I grew up in Norfolk. I grew up in Norfolk. I used to live on A Avenue and Church Street. And my whole family lived on the same block. And like Dwight was saying, we played football in the streets. And when the cars came by, you had to wait till the car go by to get back in the street. So you would catch the ball and try not to run into the cars that were parked on the street. So we lived there for a while. And then my dad went into his own business, man, in real estate. And we ended up moving to Chesapeake. So we lived right behind the old Great Bridge High School. We used to live over there off of Hillwell Road. And that's when I really started. I actually started playing soccer and got into football. My dad sold a house to Otis Sistrunk. I don't know if you remember Otis Sistrunk you played for the Raiders. And he's from, so Otis would come over to the house and he played for the Raiders and he went on the 60. So my first number playing football was 60. I thought Otis was the man. And I was a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers and Oakland Raiders fan growing up out that way. And then Dad started getting more things. We ended up moving out to Virginia Beach, man, and out in the Kinsville area. But because of the way that it was laid out, we had to catch a bus, go past Kinsville High School. We drove past Kinsville every morning to go to Green Run, because at that time, Lynn Haven Parkway didn't cut through. It should take us almost 50 minutes to get to Green Run in the morning. So I catch the bus at 6 o'clock. But I ended up doing that and going over to Green Run for school. And playing basketball. I went on the 2 bad year, and Jim Caldwell, I'll never forget that he runs the ball, played it. I got to the point where if my guys were standing around the ball carrier, standing around, I tackled everybody, put everybody on the ground. And Jim Caldwell said, you know, he offered me, and then I started getting different schools coming by, but it was because of Matt and full speed, you know, play between the lines, between whistles. And once I got the quarterback coach that year, the others started coming in. And then my senior year, I got hurt 2 weeks right before the senior season started. A freshman fell in the back of my leg, so I had to be in the mobilizer for 6 weeks. So I missed half the season my senior year. I was able to come back and play, and took it from there. So I was blessed, man. I was blessed.
That's good stuff. Vernon, it looks like we got the TK in here.
I think we got Terry in here.
I'm here. Yeah.
T, pull it up, T. Open up your video.
It ain't there. Shoot, what the heck? You know, this UVA education. I don't know. I never had this problem before.
That's not.
Yeah. It ain't opening up.
Yeah, we got your audio, but not your
We
video.
got your audio, but not the
Yeah,
video.
for some reason. All right, hold on. Let me sign out and sign back in.
All right.
All right.
That's good stuff. See what he got.
Trying to get him back in here.
Yeah.
Go. I remember senior year high school. Matt was the #1 linebacker in the state. You were the #2. Y'all were freaking teammates. And y'all the 1 and 2 linebackers in the state. And I was #3.
Yeah. I heard because we didn't play each other back then. Let you got to the state play. Area, you know.
We got your little choppy over here.
Yeah, you're a little chopping.
Them ball players across. Yeah.
There you go. There he is.
Ah, yeah.
What's
there you
up?
go.
What's up, T?
gentlemen?
There you go. What's up, T?
Oh, you know how we do it.
Oh man, good to see you, man. It's been a minute.
757 in the house.
Yes.
You know what it is?
Dula, what's up, Dula?
What's up, big dog?
How you doing that, man?
Yeah.
Go. What's up, Go?
What's up, Terry? I ain't seen you since my birthday party, man.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a good time there, boy. Y'all missed it. That one.
Yeah. It was a great.
I ain't get an invite for that one.
Neither
I
did
missed that.
I didn't put it together. I was so surprised for me. I was there, Terry was there, Bruce, all the boys. I said, man, what y'all doing here?
Yeah. Thomas Smith actually took me up.
Smitty, yeah.
I was with Smitty.
Good enough. We blessed, baby. We blessed.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Well, look, man, I want to bring you in right, Terry. So for everybody who's watching, obviously this man needs no introduction right here. This man is one of the best in the history of the state of Virginia. My man Terry Kirby, obviously with the Tab High School parade, all American USA Today Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year in high school, hold all the UVA rushing records, and 2007 inducted into the Virginia High School Hall of Fame. Shucks, all-time leader in rushings at UVA, and played for Miami from 93 to 95, San Francisco from 1996 to 1998, Cleveland 1999, and the Oakland Raiders from 2000 to 2002. So, you know, Terry, man, look, we just wanted to get together, man, because I think we need to continue to tell the stories and continue to, build a legacy of football in the 757. And because a lot of kids are, everybody got these documentaries about their journeys, about their communities all across the country. So we just thought it was good to bring this together. And we're going to be doing this quite a few for other guys to come on and talk. We wanted to start with you guys, which is a special group. So look, I just want you to talk about, man, growing up in Tab. You were kind of in a little island, so to speak. You weren't in Hampton, Newton News, and you weren't in Norfolk and South Side, but you were like in the Tab area, but you were just dominating. And so we want to just get your thoughts on your journey as a youngster playing Little League football out there and growing up all the way somewhat through high school.
For me, it was, like you said, definitely Tab was on the island. We weren't in the city. We were considered country boys, I guess you would say. The hardest thing for us was we were in AA. So everyone thought AA was soft, and we didn't play anybody. We didn't have any competition. We didn't have anything. And the crazy thing was the only AAA teams where it was scrimmage was Kickinton. Every year. I remember that. Every year we would scrimmage kick. It was every year religiously. Duel and I would hit heads all the time. So, in that scrimmage, we didn't play the whole time. The starters didn't play, but we always banged heads. And, during that game, I think guys realized that, we weren't just a AA team. We were actually football players, man. I think we ended up, winning so many games. And then when that big game come up against Hampton that we played at Bailey Field, that kind of put, Tab on the map then. I think they kind of realized that, in the early 80s and 90s, man, Tab was really, a dominant football school for sure.
Yeah.
No. And it's tough coming from a little county, you know what I mean? Little county, we weren't in the city. We didn't, we didn't have the projects. We didn't have all that. We were just out in a bunch of country boys. But for us, it was great because all of us played together. And most people don't realize, in high school, my group, we went 43-4 in 4 years in high school.
Wow.
And that's because we all started football at 7 years old together. From Pop Warner, Grafton, and most of you guys know Ron Kubich, who actually was one of the pioneers of starting youth football in York County and actually in the state of Virginia. He played for the Colts, Blockview, Johnny Unitas. He was one of the guys that kind of started the Grafton League where we started. And we all played together until the craziest part about that was back then we had the weight limit. So, of course, myself and Chris Lane had to be linemen all through Little League. Always. Like we were right guard, left guard, middle linebacker, and outside linebacker, all the way up until, 8th grade. And then in 8th grade, I decided to play middle school football because I could be a running back then. So I was like, I couldn't wait to be able to play. And I was the only one that went and played middle school football. I got my ass handed to me. I think in middle school, we won 8th grade. I think we won maybe 4 games. And let me tell you, I was getting beat up big time. And then finally in 9th grade, all of the guys decided to go out and play, JV. And then they moved all us, Chris Slade, my cousin, they moved us all up to varsity. And it was history from there.
Man, that's good stuff. And this is the area, and Vern, jump in if you got some questions. It's all good. But this is the area that's interesting because all of you guys, and I was telling them, Terry, like this is our first one, but I wanted to grab our era first, me and Vernon's era, which is that 87, 88, 85 era. But anyway, I want to talk about your recruiting experience because all you guys were off the charts in terms of your offers and y'all represented the state. Forget the 757, the state very well. So tell us a little bit about like what offers did you have, Dwight? What made you, go to Carolina?
That's an interesting story. The year before my senior season, I went to one football camp during the summer, and that was North Carolina's football camp. And it was my first exposure to, college football. I had gotten some letters here and there, but nothing really. Went there, participated afterwards. The coach offered me at Carolina.
Wow.
I wasn't expecting that, and so they were the first ones in the door, first ones to say, hey, you might be worthy of playing college football. So that stuck with me. Besides, I was a big LT fan, man. I was a big time.
Who was it?
Yeah, exactly. So
Virginia.
and yeah, exactly. Winsburg. He was a Carolina guy. And he was busting heads in the league at that time. He was breaking legs and everything. So, I was big time fan. So Carolina got an early lead on things. I got recruited by Virginia. It was a lot of pressure to stay in state. I got hit up by a lot of folks, saying, hey, you need to stay home. You need to stay home. The coach for Hampton University came to my school and was he really wanted me to stay and play at Hampton. I'll just say that. He really, really wanted me to stay and play at Hampton. And I told him, I said, Coach, I got to get out of town. I can't stay here.
Right.
I took a visit to Tennessee. Coach Knox was recruiting. And then NC State and the other visit that I was planning to take, I took a visit to State, and the other visit I was planning to take was to Wisconsin. And the weekend I was supposed to go to Wisconsin, it was snowing, it was like 12 degrees. And I was like, man, I ain't going out there anyway. So
that was easy.
Y'all can keep this visit. I went to Tennessee, had a terrible time. It was awful. It was awful. Yeah, man, the dude that was my host said, hey, you don't want to come here.
Wow.
That was one of the first things he said to me. You don't want to come here. And then the guy, the other kid, it was two of us in the car with our two hosts.
Right.
And the driver lit up some weed and they started passing it around the car. I didn't smoke. So I was like, eyes this big. Like, man, I know I ain't coming here. And I told the coach that the next day when he sat in the office, it's Coach, I can't come here. He said, why? What happened? I said, your player said I shouldn't come. And so fast forward, went to Virginia, had a ball. Sean Moore and Ray Savage hosted me.
This is the personality.
Me and Doxy Jordan went on that visit together. And man, I had a ball at UVA. Loved it.
Not enough.
Not enough. Went to Carolina, had another ball. Real good time. And I just loved Carolina from the very beginning, man. But it came down to, it was kind of close at the end with Virginia and Carolina. But I think I made the right decision.
Sure. What's up, Go? Same thing with you, man.
For me, it was I was blessed, man. I got offered by several schools. I took a visit. I went to Michigan State on a visit, and Lorenzo White was my host. And
Low White?
Low White was my host, and I went up there and had a great visit. Son, it was like 5 below zero up there. It was cold as I don't know what. So me and my pops, we're leaving and we get snowed in Chicago O'Hara Airport. We spend 3 days there, can't get out. Whatever that blizzard was at like 80s, we were stuck in the airport. And I said, I cannot come here. We were stuck in Chicago for 3 days, and they wouldn't let you in the terminal. You had to sit out front. So that's where the doors kept opening, but the ticket counter stand. So that's why I came here. And that was my first flight. So I flew in a snowstorm to get there. And I was like, no, but I had a great time either way with Lorenzo White, man. He's a good dude taking me around. I went to Carolina. I went down to Carolina. I had a great time. Had a great time down there, and everybody was real nice, and they treated me real nice. I had a good time down there. And I'm trying to think of the brother who hosted me, the running back. He won a 44. What's that brother's name?
Torrin Dorn. That was my host when I went to Carolina.
He-
Torrin was my host,
hosted
and I
me.
roomed with Torrin when I went there. My freshman year, my sophomore year, I roomed with Torrin.
TD man showed me a great time down there, man. Had a great time. And went to Michigan. Michigan was cool. But I went to Penn State and had a good time at Penn State. And for me, it was, and I played tight end and linebacker. I didn't want to play tight end in college. I didn't want nobody to hit me. I wanted to hit people. And for me, Penn State, I got my undergrad in business. They had like one of the top business schools in the country. So that was appealing to me. Wanted me to play linebacker. And they were, in 86, was that second year in a row that they were playing for the national championship. So I'm looking at all that like, okay, and DJ was there, Dozier, and so it all weighed playing linebacker U, the business part of it, playing for the national championship for the second year in a row, and then when they beat Miami in 86, I was sold, bro. I committed as soon as I could to do it. But UVA was a good trip. UVA was a good trip. They wanted a package deal, Darby and I, and had a great visit. Ray hosted me, Ray Savage, and with Sean and all those guys. And I had people tell me if I don't go to UVA, don't come back to this stuff like that.
I heard the same thing.
UVA was coming up. That program was coming up, when those guys were getting there and they were in the top 5. But Penn State had been there, wanted to play linebacker and all that stuff. So that's really what it was. And I kind of wanted to get out of state too and wanted to do my own thing, get from under Matt's shadow. Me and Matt have been playing together since we didn't have JV. We had middle school. So in the 7th and 8th grade, we played at Brandon Junior High. So I had to get away from Matt Darby. I love him to death. But I was always, it was Darb and Keith. And we went on all those summer camps, like you said. Coach Bugs used to take us around all the summer camps and stuff back in the day, man. And we ride with him to all those. But Penn State just felt like a better fit for me,
Yeah.
Can I tell you, I saw Darby in January.
That's right. He lived in Florida.
Yeah. So I saw him at a conference, and he was running a discussion on had something to do with healthy manhood. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Now, Terry, Terry, so your recruiting was so weird, you might not be able to discuss some of these things.
Pockets were fat.
Your recruiting may involve some stuff that you can't say publicly.
When you say he got his own money, the boy got his own money.
but you can say what you want to say about it. You got it. Okay.
Yeah, like you said, it was a little different for me. But let me tell you, I took some unbelievable trips. I mean, I went to Penn State, and Blair Thomas was my host.
Okay.
And I love Penn State. Coach Pa and his wife, let me tell you, man, it was unbelievable trip. The problem with me was when we went, we didn't do anything. There was nothing going on. We didn't go to any parties, no nothing. We just kind of sat in the dorm and just chilled, really. It wasn't exciting. I mean, I loved everything about the facilities. I loved everything about it. We went downtown, but it was freezing. And remember, I was in basketball at that time, so I had to go. I think the students might not have been there or something because I was playing basketball, so it had to be after basketball game for me. And then with me, it was all about playing 2 sports. That was one of my criteria of which school I was going to go to. So with there, they were going to actually allow me to do it. And then I went to Georgia, and Rodney Hampton was my host there. And same kind of thing. Actually, Ray Goff was a coach there then. They had fired Dooley that year. Ray Goff came in, and Rodney Hampton and I had a good time. We kind of stayed in the student activity building, played pool, hung out a little bit. Okay trip, nothing crazy. Then went to Alabama. Woo. Alabama, we had Bobby Humphrey and Derek Thomas were my hosts.
Ooh.
So
You had huh?
There's no heavy hitters.
Don't tell that story. Don't tell it.
Hey, put it this way. We were riding around in a 72 Cutlass. When 20-inch rims before 20-inch rims came out. And let me tell you, I had a blast, but just the crazy thing about all my teams, all my colleges, and I'll hold on, go back to, so went to Georgia, then Alabama, and then Clemson. And same thing, Clemson. Clemson was off the chain, and I was very fortunate for all my visits. I flew up on their private jets. They flew in, picked me up, and went back because it was usually what happened. I was playing a basketball game that Friday night. So that Friday night after the game, my high school game, I had to go straight to the airport, private airport, fly in because that was the only time I had because I was still playing basketball. So every trip it was a private jet except for UVA. So let me tell you, it was Clemson, amazing. Terry Allen was my host.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can only imagine all my trips were absolutely amazing. All my guys were great. And when I went to UVA was always like the place I wanted to go. I needed the other schools to prove to me that I shouldn't go to UVA and why I shouldn't go to UVA. And unfortunately, the only school that didn't have a coaching change was Penn State. Everybody else had a coaching change. Remember, Danny Ford left.
Right.
Oh.
Remember, Dooley left. And then Bill Curry left.
Wow.
It was unfortunately that ended up happening to me. So it kind of made it like, okay, Penn State, Clemson, and Georgia were my three top. That's where I really wanted to go. And Clemson, of course, that was tailback youth. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better than that. Basketball was up and coming. But for me, I think the biggest thing was I really wanted my family to be able to drive and see absolutely every game. I'm a big time homebody, family. And, my mom never been on a plane except for I started playing in the pros. So I know she wasn't going to do that. So for her, that was one of the biggest things. And they never missed any of my games, no matter where they were. So for me, that was probably my turning factor.
Terry, did you feel any pressure to stay in state?
No, you know what? I didn't. The only person that put pressure on me was Chris Slade. Because I knew from the beginning he wasn't going nowhere but Virginia. And I knew that. And between him and, of course, the other people down there, Mr. Tyzinger and all those guys, the big Virginia guys down in Virginia, they were pressuring me because they were like, listen, Virginia's program is up and coming. If we're able to get the number one recruit in you to come here, it will definitely help the University of Virginia out. And that weighed a little bit on me. And it was like, if I can, and Sean, all those guys, Sean, Ray, all those guys that were already at UVA were great Virginia football players. They're from Virginia, so they were starting a legacy. And I felt like I could be a part of that by going there. So that actually put a little bit of pressure on me to be able to do that. And I'm glad I did. I think when I went there and myself and Chris went there, I think UVA's, persona kind of changed a little bit. They started getting some of the other players out of, instead of going to Virginia Tech, some of the players from our area are starting to go to Virginia because they were like, wow, you know what? Virginia is up and coming. It's not a powerhouse football school, but it's a football school that can contend. And I think that's where I was going to take it. And that was one of the reasons why I went there.
Can I just say that I didn't have any private flights, and that crop duster they flew me into Tennessee on scared the hell out of me.
Come on.
All you had to do was be a parade number one in the country.
Came up short.
Play with you after the basketball game like Jordan. All that stuff.
The same way, baby. We all got there the same way.
Man.
The blessing thing is like Go-Go, Dwight on my side, I didn't know much about the other side of the water. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was crazy how, now that. But back then, we didn't have the social media. We didn't have, only thing we had was that newspaper on Sunday morning or Saturday morning. We say,
Daily
okay,
Press.
what
Daily
is that guy
Press.
doing? Hey,
Daily
look
press.
what I did over there. How many tackles did he have? How many yards did he have? We had to wait until that newspaper came out to see what your other side of the water was doing. You know what I mean? And I think that was, you know, one of the toughest things growing up. But you know what? We were such football players, and we wanted to be good. We didn't care about what that other person was doing. We were caring more about how we were doing personally. You know what I mean? I think that's what made us true football players.
And it's fun. It's funny you mentioned that because when I was at Hampton High, I didn't play against you, Cherry, because you were too far behind me. But I played against Dwight, CJ, but with Go-Go, we heard about them. But again, like you said, social media, Twitter, you don't know about. You just heard about they got these lines. I remember Coach Smith when we were watching film, and they were knocking some heads. But we still had this mindset like, well, look, we're the crabs. So, I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
We came over there, and I ain't gonna never forget Linwood Lumpkins. I will never forget you.
Lump.
That's
Never
nickname in
forget Linwood
football.
Lumpkins.
Nobody gonna forget
Lump.
That number 11. I still know his number. He was out there busting some butts. I'll never forget. Yes, sir. Linwood Lumpkins. Yeah, but had a good team, man. Yeah, never forget that. Some good football.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy because, you know, you think about just us right now, you know, we were kind of like, besides Bruce and those guys, we were really like the first real generation of the athlete out of the state of Virginia. You know what I mean? If you think about it, before us, you had Bruce, you had the guys on the other side, you know, you had Ron Springs, you had all those older guys, but then it was a generation where we don't know who that generation was before, right before us. You know, who was that besides, you know, Darby and I mean, oh God, what's his name? Ken on the other side. Huh?
Kenny
Easley, exactly. And you know, I heard about Kenny, but he was on the other side. We didn't know on our side, you know what I mean? So it's that I think we are that first, well, Dwight and because they're older than me, you know, that I really saw taking off to go to college and get into, you know, the NFL and start, you know, pursuing that career. You know what I mean?
Because I didn't know who Kenny was. You know, and the crazy story is the head coach at Green Run coached Kenny at Oscar Smith. And I didn't even know who Kenny was till Kenny came up to the school one day and he introduced us to Kenny. I was like, Kenny, you from where? You know, but again, Kenny was, and then he went to UCLA and then he was in Seattle. So that was like, he was on the other side of the country.
Exactly.
But him being that close, well, my head coach coached him in high school, you know, but I didn't know that till that day Kenny came up to a practice. And then I said, okay, to start putting the pieces together. But yeah.
Well, and when you and when you talk about the pride, so for me, I was at Howard, right? So I played with Dwight, so I'm bragging on my boys, like, yo, my man, you know, down in North Carolina, Go-Go. I'm like, yeah, I played against him up at Penn State. And then in Terry, I've never even told you this story. So my cousin, Tony Hyman, that was playing for Hampton. It was a big deal. That Hampton Tad game was a big, big deal. I brought my boys from Howard down to that game. And y'all put it on the crowd that night. I think you got about 200 running. It was crazy, but me bragging to all these guys up in DC that are from all over the country, they're thinking like, yeah, Virginia, whatever. But I'm laying out, look, here are all these legends, and here's some guys right now playing D1 ball and doing a thing. So there was a lot of pride, even, you know, going beyond and out where everybody's like, you know, once we got out of the area, you know, rooting for the boys from Virginia.
You know, I'm sure you guys, Vernon and C, you guys know the statistics of just in our per capita, per area. I think we have more players in the league now than most per capita states, man.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you got to look. They looked it up the other day. I think Louisiana was one, and I think we were in the top 4, top 5, just in, you know, the Tidewater area, man. I think it's pretty high. You guys don't quote me on that, but it's pretty high. You check that stat out per capita. It's pretty interesting to see.
For sure. You know, it's funny, man, working at the PA for as long as I haven't, and obviously watching you guys come into the league, then lead the league. But it's funny, man. I'm at every combine, every team, and I'm telling you, it never ceases to amaze me that when I go around to these team meetings and I do my research on kids, and it's kids, man, from all over the 757 that I never knew of, and it kind of gets to me a little bit because I said, "How did I miss you?" You know,
exactly.
With you, you know. He's like, "I don't know," you know. And there's so many kids. I'm not even because I'm old now. I can't remember all these dudes. But there's a lot of kids like right now. But see, to your point, Terry, they went out of state. So
Yes.
they may have went to, like you said, Dwight, Tennessee, or they may have went to, you know, to the West Coast or even Texas or something like that. So it's hard. But I do want to talk about this though, because I know how it was for us. It's something y'all mentioned. It's like when we are home, it's like, and Keith, you can understand this. It's like when you talk about going across the water, it's like, yeah, they across the water. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like,
deal with that.
We on the peninsula. Like we don't, because we used to scrimmage Norview all the time when we was at Bethel. And we had that little, and then we played Kentsville with the little running back Kimball. Was a little running back Kimball.
Nick Kimball.
Yeah, he was tough. He was tough.
Nate was at Brandon junior high school meet. Then he went to the high school. But Nate could play.
And man, how do y'all feel about just that? You felt as though you were in a sort of a incubator of football. It's like we played. Our football was the only football going on in the country. Like we didn't care what California did or Seattle or Texas. We were in our own little incubator of just competition. We figured that if we could make it out of here, the league was a given. Did y'all think the same way when y'all was playing?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you kind of get into it, and I think Terry said earlier, you really focus on your area and what you're trying to do, and you're trying to win your city. I'm trying to win this city, then get into the playoffs and go from there. And you face who it is. Because at that time, I mean, I think we might have played 2 out of beach schools at that time. Because we had so many high schools. Now they have more. But you talking about John Granby over there at Kellum, First Colonial. And Princess Anne, Kinsville. I mean, we just had all that right in the area that you had to deal with that. I wasn't even thinking past, I wasn't even thinking about Norfolk, and we next door to them. I'm worried about these cats hitting the beach, and we got to beat them. Hopefully we get out the beach, and then go from there. But it was just so much talent. I'm just speaking from Virginia Beach, but just so much talent that you had to play those other schools. I was focused on that. Trying to make sure we could beat those teams, or stuff like that.
Go to that point. This is what I tell guys, and you've been in the coaching world. I tell guys all the time. These guys that went to all these private schools and they did all that. I go, listen. Within a 10-mile radius, we have more public schools in just our district, and the same thing in your district. They would wear these private schools asses out.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And listen, we all grew up in a small area. It wasn't no private school. It was a public school. And let me tell you, you can stack all the teams you want. It didn't matter to us because, listen, we were coming for you.
Right.
And these kids all like, oh, yeah, whatever. It's like, listen, y'all ain't from the same area. Imagine what we had growing up in our public school to compare it to, you went to IMG, you were coaching there, you were coaching these private schools. Listen, will you put your high school team up against any of them schools?
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat. And I think, and for me, the mentality is totally different.
Absolutely.
Right now, I grew up. I ain't got time to be tweeting and all that. You worry about the wrong thing. I'm worried about kicking your tail come Friday night.
Exactly.
7 o'clock. Let's get busy. You worried about 100%. Your towel hanging down and all this. You go out there with no gloves on, no nothing. Just got the uniform on. Let's go.
Hey, that's
2
the
different
difference.
models.
It's and people ask me all the time, what's the difference with the players now and players back when you played? I go, listen, we were football players. That's all we did. We were football players. You know what I mean? We played the game of football the way it should be played. We didn't worry about anything outside of social media, outside of anything. We worried about what was going on between those lines.
Hey, look, and to that point, I mean, you think about the teams we had to play against, and I know for me, I had to look at Hampton High School. They can't crush a crab. Oh, man. I'm tired of hearing that daggone song. But then, we had to
He's
play,
still mad.
Bethel, we had to focus on Ward. And I know it's not around anymore. Lafayette. I mean, there were some ballers in all of those schools. You couldn't see beyond the Peninsula District where we were, because there were so many good players, good teams, good schools in that area, man. I didn't care what was going on over in the beach. No offense. It's just you got to be ready for what's right here in Hampton and Newport News, or you're gonna get your head split.
Yeah. I felt that one of the hardest things I ever did was, when they put that target on my back as far as being the #1 player in the country and doing all that, for me, it was a target. There was no question. I remember when I went to the Virginia All-Star game up in Lynchburg. And let me tell you, that game, they could care less about anything else but knocking my head off. I ain't even have the ball not one time, and every single one of them guys just wanted to take my head off.
And this is an all-star game. This ain't no playoffs.
No, they were like, listen, what was it? It was at Liberty College.
Yeah.
That Virginia All-Star game. Let me tell you, all them boys from up in Lynchburg and Roanoke and all that, they could care less about anything but taking my head off. And that was when Eric Hunter became MVP of that game, because we kept running play action, because he knew everybody was going to try to take my head off, and I had to protect myself. It was that was one of the things that was like, wow, you know what? This is real serious. You know what I mean? It's a serious thing. And it was, and Dwight could tell you, I played against Dwight my freshman year at UVA. And same thing, people, they expect so much out of you, because they think you're this. Listen, I didn't put that label on me. I just played the game of football, but it still was on me. You know what I mean? So it was tough.
Just playing with Matt, and I saw that burden he was carrying, that label that everybody had put on him, man. It almost drove him crazy. That's why I personally think he went to UCLA. I mean, obviously,
I'm sure.
The defensive back, he's gonna play DB, he gonna play on linebacker in college. But that's a long way to go for the youngest of 5, But it was a heavy burden putting on him about that, and especially when he played running back, they were teeing off on him, bro.
Oh yeah,
they were teeing off on him to play on the other side of the ball. But
for sure,
yeah,
no question.
I take pride in it. You just mentioned IMG. I took pride in it. They would tell me about all these kids coming from different parts of the country. I said, you couldn't do nothing in the 757, 80. We be y'all like a soccer ball in the World Cup. That's how bad we be.
Hey, that's one thing 757 can say. We take pride in being a football pride.
I can pull up 6 guys. You can't pull up 1. What you gonna do? I can name 6 guys right now.
Hey, no question. And you know what? The craziest part is, like when I come back to the camp, it's crazy because we're there with the young kids, and these young kids like, who you? They look at you like, they have no idea. But then you get the older guys come around and be like, listen, that guy right there used to be able to play, but because of social media and stuff, they have no idea what we've done, in our careers. Is they hear more about the star guys or whatever. And we can go down that list of guys in the 757 that have played in the league a long time that you don't even know about, and that's, and that's one of the things that I kind of preach to a lot of kids. A lot of kids want to be that superstar. I go, listen, it ain't about being the superstar that you see on TV. It's about being you. And if you can be you and you can play them years in the league and you can last, let me tell you something. You've accomplished a whole lot more than those ones that wanted to be the star.
Right. Hey, Terry, to that point, I mean, for all 3 of you, I mean, to that gets to mentorship, right? And so one of the things that, when Carl and I first foundation in the camp was all about different levels of mentorship. Yeah, for the younger kids, but high school to college to the guys in the league. Like, how does mentorship work for you guys? And has it evolved from, let's say, when you were in the league, mentoring other players to like now? I mean, has the dynamic changed? What is that like in terms of mentorship, either guys locally or just in general?
For me, I preach the same thing that I've always preached, man. Listen, work hard, work hard. And if you want it bad enough, you can get it. If you don't, a lot of times people want to make these, go out and work so hard and, overwork themselves because they're trying so hard. Listen, if you know the game of football and you know your X and O's and you're in shape, let me tell you something. You can play the game of football. You know what I mean? As long as you don't like, if you don't like contact, don't play the game of football. If you like contact and you got those other three, let me tell you, you can play in this. You can play in this game. You know what I mean? You can play this game, and that's the thing that people have to remember. The thing is now, though, everyone's so caught up in the social media. Let me see what this guy's doing in California. Oh, this guy's doing this. Let me see what this guy's doing over here. And everybody's posting their workouts and they're posting everything that they're doing. It's like, why are you showing everybody what you're doing? I mean, I'm not a big opponent of that, and I never have been. To me, listen, once you get on that field, they're going to know what you can do. The eye in the sky don't lie. It never does, and it never has. Right. So just work.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally different. It's totally different when we got recruited. You talking about VHS tapes and Betamax. Yeah. But right now,
a lot of kids watching right now, they're like, "What is a VHS?"
They can stream the game live on Facebook, so it's a total different type thing.
Yeah.
For me, I got no huddle as far as mentoring. That's my thing. Kind of coaching the guys and trying to help them the best way and giving them an example that they can go by and what it means, what you have to do to really, if you really want it, and how difficult it's going to be to do it. Dwight and I, right there the same year, playing the same position, we competing for that 53-man roster. It's going to be difficult to do it. What's your plan if it doesn't work? What's your plan if you do make it and it ends? What you going to do when it's 10 years, 9 years, 5 years in my case? What's your next step? What's your backup plan? Because there's no 45-year-old football player. It ain't gonna happen. Those 20 years, those Bruce Smiths and the quarterback Tom Brady, that's rare. Especially in our sport. So what are you gonna do after that? That's great, right. But what else are your other plans? So I try to teach the kids along, show them an example, try to do stuff the right way, try to help them when you can. And if you have to, I don't say get on them, but point them in the right direction. They know they can always pick up the phone and call me, and I'm gonna shoot it to them straight. But I'm gonna shoot it to you straight. I'm not gonna BS you. I'm gonna tell you the truth about it. If you're doing it right, I'm gonna tell you. If you're doing it wrong, I'm gonna tell you. But at least you know that you can always come to me, and I'm gonna be upfront with you. So I take pride, especially kids from back home. I mean, I remember Plexico. We went to the same high school.
Plexico.
And just trying to help Plex as much as I can. Plex is a great dude, love him to death. But just try to reach back and help, man. Playing it forward, like they're saying now. That's always kind of been me. Kind of been my sermon and my preaching is teaching the next group up this sport I love.
Yeah, I think mentorship is tough nowadays, right? Because everybody has that thing in front of them right here, and they it's hard to see past that. And so there's a certain amount of trust that goes into mentoring. You gotta earn that trust and build that trust through communication, and it's a challenge nowadays. When I was playing, I had older players that mentored me that I listened to because I trusted and I saw what they did, and I tried to do the same as I got on in my experience. Nowadays, I'm talking to athletes, talking to my son in particular. I got a 17-year-old, and talking to him. And even today, my conversation is no matter what you want to do, no matter what you do, and you need to put forth your best effort, no matter what it is. Now, if you want to play ball, that's great. What are you going to do to prepare yourself to be good at that? What steps are you going to take to be good at that? And I don't care if you play ball. I don't care if you play ball. But what you need to do is make sure that you get your academics in line. Because if you don't have that in line, you're not going to have a chance to play ball. Nowhere beyond this high school experience. So get your academics in line, because that's going to carry you far further than playing ball. Plus, when you got your academics together, you become a better player because you got less to worry about, right? you don't have to worry as much about your academics. You can focus on ball and be a better ball player. No matter what you do, you got to work hard. Nobody's going to give you anything. And that's almost verbatim what I said earlier today.
I said the same thing. I got a 16-year-old, so I'm going, Dwight, it's the same thing. It's the hardest thing, I think, for me, and at this age of say 15 to 17, these kids, they want it really bad. They say they want it so bad. They want it so bad, but they're not doing everything to prove that they want it that bad.
Exactly.
And I think, and they think they are, though. That's the craziest part about it. They think that they are doing everything possible. And then when we point it out to them, they're like, oh, wow. It's so tough. I mean, we grew up in an era where we got how many athletes that are 14 and 15 or even 12 and 12, 12, 11, 12, 13, they got personal trainers.
Yeah, how about that?
Hey, listen, personal training. Hey, they got a quarterback coach. They got a tight end coach. They got it. Listen, it's my business. I understand it, but at the same time, you have to. It has to be that point where, like, listen, I can only do but so much. We can only do but so much. Can you imagine if we had a personal trainer, a linebacker coach that you did one-on-one drills with all the time? I mean,
man,
that's the craziest part about it now. These kids have an opportunity to do everything great. And when you try to tell them, you still get that pushback thing, which is, it's hard for me to understand that. And I get frustrated with my son. I'm sure, Dwight, you go through the same thing. You're like, man, when I was that age, I didn't even have that mindset like that. Right. I knew exactly, I knew I had to work. I knew when I went out there on that field, I'm doing everything I got to do to not make sure that man on the other side of that ball ain't getting me. You know what I mean? And that's what you did. And these kids don't understand that now, I don't think. It's hard to have them. And Go, you're in the coaching field, so you kind of get it more so.
Yeah, it's totally different because for us, I mean, I rode my bike to practice. I rode my
exactly.
I stopped at 7-Eleven, got a big gulp on the way back.
Exactly.
Different type thing, and my helmet would be on the handlebars, and we did what we had to do. Why have my kangaroos on my feet? That's how.
I hear you, Walter Payton, kangaroo.
And top built back in the day, so it was a different thing. And
hey,
so
look, can I give a real quick shout out to coaches that I had? Man, I couldn't have done what I've been able to do without the coaches I've had.
Hey,
Coach Pauls, Coach Conrad, Coach Coach White, my high school coaches, even my little league coaches. I mean, it was straight fundamentals, and that carried over in the college for me and really helped me to be successful. So I got to give a shout out to all of them.
I think one of the things that you asked Kirby, Terry, one of the things is their mindset is on getting that ride, not playing the game, not enjoying it. You got kids in the 9th grade talking about, I got to get a scholarship, but the parent is saying that to the kid, and I've been looking at him like, excuse me, he need to learn what a 3-point stance is first,
Go.
But that's the mindset you're dealing with now that you really have to, I don't want to say break it down, but really explain to them it's going to take more than that,
No doubt.
Absolutely.
I say, if you want to do that, okay, get on the board, draw me tight slot right open pistol.
Huh? They be like, huh?
If you can't draw it, then But that's the mindset of getting the full ride and the cars and what they're seeing on TV and all that.
Yeah. But they don't know what. Hey, it's that's the other thing that makes it so hard nowadays is players are so athletic. I mean, they're one thing that I'll give them, and everyone that whole saying bigger, stronger, faster. I don't know what roster they looking at, but I can promise you this. Go Go back to your first year in Buffalo. If you put your roster up and the weight, height of all those players to the players that are playing now, I can tell you one thing: they ain't bigger, stronger, and faster. They may be more athletic, but they are not bigger, stronger, and faster. Because I don't know too many DNs. Hey, your front four up there, now you know I played against them all the time, boy. Your front four up there, name another front four that's that size.
Boy, that's cool.
Yes, some big. Yes, some big boys.
Who's on that front four?
Bryce Paul.
Bruce. Yeah.
Bruce, Bryce Paul.
Yeah. Play outside. When I left, Daryl DT.
Yeah, DT.
Washington. I think Ted Washington was there after I left. He went.
Big Ted. Hey,
he took up 3 people.
Hey, so I got a question. Where are they saying this bigger, stronger, faster? Name one Reggie White out there right now. Hey, so you know when people say that to me, I always say, listen, they are they may be more athletic than us, but we are football players where we can tell you what that offensive guard is doing, what that D tackle is doing, what that DN is doing. We knew every single position. Nowadays, these kids are like this. They got blinders on. Like they wouldn't be, if somebody got hurt, they wouldn't be able to step in for nobody.
Yeah. And that's just part of the teaching, coaching point. I tell my kids, if you don't know where you're going, I don't care if you run a 4-3, you're standing still, son.
That's it.
Exactly.
But if you run a 4-6 and you know the play, now you're like you run a 4-5. That's a totally different thing because you know what's coming. But a 4-3 stand is nothing.
That's
you don't know what
That's right. You got it. And I was lucky. I came to Miami my rookie year and I had Dwight here. You know what I mean? So, you know, my rookie year, I had Dwight here. I had David Griggs from UVA. So, I mean, I was blessed to have some guys that kind of, you know, take me under their wing and kind of show me the things, you know what I mean? And it was, you know, that's the other part that, you know, guys nowadays, they don't hang like we did. Let me tell you, you know, nowadays, everybody go out on their own. They do this on their own. They do this. Listen, back in the day, all the linebackers would be out together. If you saw one linebacker, you saw at least 2 more linebackers. If you was with one running back, you see 3 more running backs. It was never an individual. Everything was always a cohesive team, no matter what. And nowadays, I think the teams and individuals, they miss that part of that camaraderie of being togetherness. Yeah. And I think people don't have that nowadays in football because of social media, individuals, and just not having that camaraderie.
Talk about marketing yourself and branding yourself. Now, I'm curious, Carl, I don't know if you noticed, how many current guys in the league are from our area?
You know what? Every time I try to get a number down, go, it always throws me off because I find 5 or 6 more guys. So right. I would probably say right now it's about 20 guys in the league right now from my area, and I know I'm missing somebody. I'm serious, but I just can't keep up. But I do want to know this because you guys were right on the tail end of the Robert Banks, Langy Bangies, Langhorns, you know, Lawrence, Mel Grays. I mean, them all.
Oh yeah.
You know, you guys came that second wave, right? But when you were in the league, man, did it ever dawn on you that I'm carrying the legacy of the 757 when I'm out here playing? Like, I'm out here playing. Like when you walked that day, they're like, look, I'm who I am because I'm from the 757. Did you guys carry that with you? You guys win the league?
I did. Absolutely.
Oh, you know, the best part about, I guess, being from the 757, I'll never forget, you know, my rookie year, I got an opportunity to go against, you know, LT. And, you know, to be hit by LT and him being LT, you know what I mean? You sitting there like, damn. Right. You know, you like, oh, shit, go ahead, man, tackle me just so I can say you tackled me. Right. You know, it's especially legends like that.
Yeah,
right. You know, there's a lot of legends in the game that you see and whatever, but you know, a guy that grew up in your area who is, you know, the 757, who's from there, who did what he did to be tackled by him, you know, I'm blessed.
Yeah, I'm good.
I was blessed to see him play that last year. You know what I mean? So, and being
mine was a little different because I had Bruce. So Bruce was a teammate.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, yeah, Bruce Smith man. You know, and he said, "What's up, homeboy?" I said, "Let's say what's up." But crazy thing was that Darby and I was there. We came in the same year to Buffalo, which was just crazy.
That is crazy.
So we go back to middle school. You know, you talking 8th grade through high school, go away to college, then we get drafted on the same pro team, which was bananas.
Wow.
Yeah. So you know, we did 4 years together. It was just, and with Bruce too, it was crazy. You know, just being there and, you know, going to 2 Super Bowls and all that stuff. It was just a blessing, man. Shoot. You know?
Yeah, and then, you know, of course, when I played Chris, that was the first time him and I had played against each other ever in our entire life.
Right.
You know, the first New England Dolphin game my first year, we had never, ever played against each other. Never.
And I know, D, you and I,
the first play, he tried to bull rush me.
He just run you over.
He tried to run me over on a pass block.
That was coming.
Oh, and you know what? I should have cut his ass. That's what I should have done.
And for those that are watching, he's talking about Chris Slade, so that everybody knows. He's talking about Chris Slade.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man.
There's a couple of questions that came in on Facebook, but one, I think this is always a timely one about, you know, financial, you know, keeping your finances together, being in the league. There's a lot of pressure. First of all, I still, for Dwight and Terry, I don't know how y'all made it in Miami. I don't know how that
Hey, I got to thank Dwight and Grigo for that one. They kept me humble, baby. They kept me humble, for sure.
But how'd you do it? I mean, the pressure, but the question was about, you know, how do you maintain financial balance, basically, you know, being and a message for, you know, the guys that are in the league now and coming up. Like, what are some thoughts from that?
I think the hardest thing now is, you know, back when we played, the money was nowhere near what it is now, you know, and that's, you know, I think that played a lot in our way of thinking. You know, nowadays, I think everyone comes in the league. I know, Go, you guys can say, when you come into the league, you know, the first thing that you say is, I'm playing for 10 years. Everybody wants that 10-year mark, man. Yeah. You know, for some reason, I don't know what it is about that 10-year mark. Everyone says that, and people don't realize how hard that is. And the famous words for an athlete, and I tell people this all the time. You know what the famous words are? It ain't gonna happen to me.
It ain't gonna happen to me.
It ain't gonna happen to me. It ain't gonna happen to me. I ain't gonna never get hurt. Oh no, it ain't gonna happen to me. I ain't never gonna lose my money. I ain't gonna, you know what I mean? It won't happen to me. And they see other guys that it has happened to, and they still go through it. So I think the thing that you have to do is, you know, think about, you know, the rest of your life. Don't think about right now. You know, think about after football. You know, after football, and we've all been through it, man. I played the 10 years, and let me tell you, I went through depression and everything else when it was over. And I'm sure the other two guys can tell you. Let me tell you, you know, I've been playing this game since I was 8 years old. And to have it to the point where they say, you know what, you're never, ever playing this game again. You're never playing it. It's not going to happen. Yeah, you can coach it. Coaching and playing is two different things, you know? So after that, you have to be able to have some sort of stability in your life. And that's where the financial part of growing at a young age, you know, having that amount of money at 22, 23, you know, you got to think about, okay, at 32, if I'm lucky, what am I going to do after that? Mm-hmm. So I think you have to, you know, you have to balance it out. Of course, a lot of us grow up with nothing. So we get this amount of money that we want to go out and we want to spend and spend and spend and spend and spend. But you have to remember that, you know, later in life, you're going to need that. You know, right now you're playing for this game of football. Just worry about playing that game of football, and even if you don't cash any of your checks, and you're just playing football, you know what? You ain't losing nothing. You know what I mean? You're still gaining. You're still gaining. So you have to be able to manage that part of it and not worry about what everybody else has. And it's hard to do when you come from nothing. It's one of the hardest things to do. When you come from nothing, you always like, I always wanted this and I always wanted this. So you go out and you spend and you spend and you spend thinking that you're going to play for those 10 years. Oh, let me go ahead and spend it this year because you know what? I'm going to play another 9 years. I'll be okay. And when that doesn't happen, that's when that, you know, that hammer drops on you, you know, and it's hard. And I can speak for myself. Yes. Have I made bad deals and lost money? 100% I have. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like, I thought it was a great deal and it wasn't a great deal. You know what I mean? And that's a growing process. And it happened early in my career. So I was able to still maintain and still be able to grow, you know, for when I'm done playing.
Yeah. And I'll piggyback on some of that. You know, I played 9 years and I beat myself up. I used to tell people that I only played 9 years. You listen to that. I only played 9 years.
Right.
Shut your ass up. You only played 9 years. Man, you better get up out of here. But I was so mad that I didn't play 10. And yeah, and I struggle with depression. And it's one of the things that I talk about quite a bit. And you know, you guys know I've gone into the mental health world and have done a lot of work around mental health awareness. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so let me give that a shout out as well.
Yeah.
And I'll say that I didn't make a lot of money. And I made some bad decisions along the way. I also had some good mentors along the way that helped guide me to a decent place. You know, again, I didn't crush it financially, but I didn't blow it financially either. And somewhere in between there is a sweet spot. And it's about understanding wants and needs and making good choices about what you really need versus what you want, and what you want long term, and how to achieve what you want long term. So there's some conversations that they got to have with people they trust that understand what financial stability is about. So that would be my advice.
Yeah. I got fortunate, to be honest with you. My rookie year, my dad sold a house to Randy Milligan. He was the first baseman for the Baltimore Orioles, and they were moving down to Virginia Beach. And in the process of doing this, he was meeting with Randy's financial guy and just asked him, could he look at my taxes? And end up meeting the guy and sit down talking. And the first thing he did was, and let me go back, I didn't have a decimal point in my salary. Y'all know. They won't know he did 1 point, and they won't. I don't even think it totaled that much. You know what I'm saying? Over the whole longevity of it. So it wasn't like this huge amount of money. But you know, my first contract was more than my mom and dad had made in probably about 5 years combined. You know, so it was a blessing. But I was able to get that. And the first thing he did was put me on a budget, and I didn't live outside my means. You know, we budgeted so much for food and entertainment and all that. So it wasn't like I was trying to go out and buy a bunch of crazy stuff. Just wasn't my nature, you know. And my dad was an example as an independent Black man having his own real estate company. He hustled and grind every day. So we were never that tight, you know, and never got that pressure like the kids are getting now of their friends. Let's go here, let's do that. You know, my boys, we sit around the house and just watch TV, man, and that was it. And they still my friends to this day because they ain't never asked me for nothing. But I think the thing that you really have to realize that football is short. 10 years seems like a long time, but that's short if you're gonna live 9 years and God's blessing you. You know, that's a short time in life. And you need to be preparing for hopefully the other 50 years after you get out of playing football. Yes, that God will bless you with. And that's the thing, you got to keep that kind of mentality. You know, I saw recently, I ain't gonna say the guy's name, but just got drafted high, and they were showing him pull out a brand new Rolls Royce in the parking lot in his house the other day. So he just got drafted like 3 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, money ain't even in his pocket yet.
Yeah, he has no idea how quick that car will depreciate, you know.
And they might not play football this year.
Yeah, you know, he got to play still, but, you know, and that was for me, you know, you love shiny things and all that, but that wasn't the be all, the end all for me. You know, I was just blessed. And like I said, I didn't have a decimal point in my salary, but I was blessed and try to keep as much as possible. Once you got out of your entertainment tax, you got to teach kids about entertainment tax. When you play a game in different states, you get taxed in that state. You know, then if you're living in New York like I was, I had to pay New York taxes. Then I had to pay Virginia taxes because my house was down there. So by the time you get through all that, you know, that $1 million get down to a couple $100,000 real quick. And don't forget your agent that you got to pay him too for doing the deal one time 5 years ago. So you learn some things. But if my number one thing I would tell people is plan for the future. Plan for the future. Have a backup plan. What you're gonna be doing 20 years from now. Make sure that, you know, you worked hard to get to that point. You busted your butt to get to that point. Make sure that you have something to show for getting there later on in life when you get down the line.
Shit, 20 years is a long time, man. It ain't even 20 years. Think about 10 years, you know? You know, years ago you would say 20, it's 10, you know, it's tough. You know, hey, these guys now, what, the minimum salary now is how much? 20 years is a long time.
It's 620 now.
Just what?
Exactly. Wait, it was 120. It was 120 my year. 620, go. That's more, that's more than our salaries was when we played. You know, that to me and I think that in itself can hurt a lot of guys because they don't realize, you know, 620 is a whole lot of money, man. And they just think they're going to continue to make that, you know, the rest of their career. You know, they just say, oh, I'm going to make it, you know, like I said, that 10-year mark, they're going to play forever. You know,
that was the veteran. That was the veteran minimum my last year.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's what mine was. It was actually 8 something. And then, of course, we got cut because they're like, shit, we ain't paying no vet $800,000 when we could pay, you know, a rookie, you know, 150. They're like, no, even though 400 went towards the cap, it didn't matter. They're like, I can pay another one 150. Right. You're out.
That was my dilemma because I was in Jacksonville and they were like, you know, you're a free agent. We can bring rookie in for a third of what we're gonna pay you. Go to Baltimore, you know, play, and then Sharper comes in and Ray Lewis there. So it's just like,
yeah. Hey, you know, that's the craziest thing that these guys don't know about is the numbers games that we had to go through as vets.
Right.
You know, to go through the numbers games at 9 and 10 years in the league, it's like, how is that even possible? You know, it's kind of sad in a way to see, like even Bruce Smith leaving Buffalo. You know, in actuality, that should have never happened. Jerry Rice leaving, you know, San Francisco, never happened. You know, when you see these guys that actually built these programs and they end up leaving, you know, to me, it's a sad day. You know, it's a sad day that the league has to come down to that. And just like anything else, everyone knows that free agency has killed every sport. You know, we all know free agency is like, it's killed every sport there is. And that's the toughest thing about it.
Right.
And that's the way of the world. You know, that's the way of the world as far as free agency. You know, that's the point of, are you playing for the game? Or are you playing for the money? Or are you playing to win the championship?
We got a question that came in from the great Coach Tommy Remus Sr.
Okay.
So his question, and this is kind of going back to what we were talking about early on about recruiting. But his question is, what do you think about kids taking all 5 visits to schools? Should they be taking all 5 or not? I think is
absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, take every 5 visits only because you don't know what you're gonna like, man. You really don't have any idea of what you're gonna like. You're making that decision on not being around the players, not being around the student body, not being around anything. Take that visit because you have no idea what you're going to see when you get there.
Yeah, and I agree 100% because you need to go experience it and see what it's like because all of them are going to be different. You know, Carolina was beautiful campus, UVA was beautiful. You need to go and ask those questions. And also, I tell guys when I was on the IMG, make sure when you go there, talk to some students.
Absolutely.
Football players. Talk to some students. Penn State. And I tell you straight up, Penn State was less than 1% minority. We're talking minority, period. So I went over to the hub and I want to know what it's really like being and it's less than 1% minority there. Because I want to know, you know, I'm 8 hours from the crib by car. I need to know what goes on. How is the minority treated on campus and things of that nature? I needed to know that, you know. But, you know, take all 5 trips unless for some odd reason you just fall in love with a place. But I tell a guy, if you go and you find out it's not what you want, you won't have to worry about that 10 years from now. You said, maybe I should have. No, you know, because you wanted to take the trip.
I agree. Take all 5. Learn as much as you can learn. You may be surprised by one of those trips.
Now, and if you're flying on a private jet, it's gonna be a quick.
That's a little different.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I learned some stuff tonight. I learned some things.
Hey, then you're doing good. If you fly on that private jet, you can take all 5.
That's right.
Flying you on crop dusters, be careful. That's all I say.
Yeah, hey, honestly, take them all, man. Talk to everybody. Like Go say, man, listen, you never know if the coaches are going to be there to recruit you, for one. You know what I mean? So,
and also with that, and I would tell a recruit this, make sure you are showing the best side of you because you never know where that coach is going to end up down the line. So if I'm not going to go to UVA, you still, coach, thank you. I appreciate you recruiting me. This is a better fit for me and my family because you don't know where that guy's going to end up a few years from then. Especially now with the transfer portal. You never know where these coaches are going to end up.
No doubt.
Go on a trip, you know, with the coaches, shake their hand and just tell them this is a better fit for me. I'm not going to go here. This fits better, blah, blah. I want to thank you and go from there because if you have to cross that bridge later down the line, you don't want to burn that bridge.
Absolutely.
Especially now.
You don't know where these coaches end up, man.
Especially now when you can transfer more easily in the portal. So you don't need to burn any bridges.
I don't even know how that portal works, man. I'm sitting there like, what is this? This is a whole recruiting list in a transfer portal. I mean, it's a list, and you just pick and choose where you want to go. I don't even understand. How does that work? I don't even know.
We ain't got time today.
Hey, you know what? I ain't good enough to play in this school. I'm behind this guy. You know what? I'm out. Right. The competition of trying to win that job. You know, you ain't even got to fight for that job. You're like, yeah, I'm done. See you.
Crazy.
Unfortunately.
Hey, I don't even understand that part. Yeah. You know, it's absolutely crazy to me. You know what, man? Hey, fight for your job, man. If you want it, you fight for it.
Right. Compete. Hey, man, look, I say, man, look, you know, this conversation, man, is a long time in the making, man. And I just want to say, man, you know, y'all my fellas, so it's easy for me to say this, but, man, I really appreciate y'all coming on tonight, man, kicking this thing off. We're going to, you know, Vernon and myself are going to try to have this every Sunday and bringing in, you know, former guys from around the area, 757, just to talk and continue to build this conversation to give back to the younger generation, man, because they need to know. I remember, you know, Terry introducing you at the camp, and I'm like telling the campers, hey, listen, you see what the size he is now? That was his size in high school. this is a dude right here. So I just want to say, man, look, Dwight, you know you family go, you know how we do it. And I just want to thank y'all, man, so much for coming on tonight, man. And we'll connect soon. And man, I appreciate y'all, man. I really do. And for the listeners, thank you for you know, hanging out with us tonight, 757 all the way.
Hey, you see this shirt, don't you?
There it is.
There, I like that. You up, you down.
At the road. All
You
day.
up, you down.
Man, thanks,
That's how we do, baby.
Yeah. And I hate this. We are, baby.
We are. Oh, forget you. We ain't talking no Penn State. We are.
We ain't
We
talking
are
about that.
757. We are 757.
That's right.
We are. I see you.
MJ in there.
And all the Jordan brand. He wearing Jordan brand, all Jordan down from head to toe.
Hey,
He getting ready for the last
that's
dance.
what happened when you work for UNC now. When you work for you, hey, that's the only wardrobe he got.
Exactly.
UNC.
I love it.
Don't be mad.
Washington got so much Jordan gear, don't know what to do with it. Carolina blue and white, loving it, boy.
I
Don't
love
be
it.
mad.
Hey, Carl Vernon, man, we appreciate you putting this together also, man. You know what? You guys do so much for the community in 757. We appreciate you, you know, all the love, man. You've been doing this a long time, man. And a long time.
24 years.
First
Man.
camp.
24 years.
Today,
Good,
let me
man.
tell you, a long time, man. You've done a lot for the community. Just keep it going, man.
I appreciate it.
Keep enlightening, keep, you know, bringing the stars up, man. Appreciate it.
For
My
sure.
man, much love.
Sure.
Much
No,
love.
we appreciate it, man. And just the energy, even though this is a Zoom, just makes me, you know, when we're at home and we're sitting in the lobby somewhere, just telling these stories and going back, man, that energy, I can feel that energy. So I'm looking forward to all of us getting back together, knocking back a couple and keep going.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
All right, guys.
Y'all be good, man. 2 up, 2 down.
Fellas.
Right. Take
Take
care.
it.
Y'all have a good one.
You too now.